Welcome and once again, a very good morning to all of you. My name is Chandra Joshi, representing Path and Tech, and would be coordinating this webinar. I would like to extend thanks to all of you for sparing time to attend the webinar. We are really excited to have a great audience today, seeking your attention and participation for about next 45 minutes. Now, in the first of this three-part webinar series, our panelists will share their experiences and insight on factors driving test automation for Oracle EBS, current practices, and state of maturity. Also, a comparison of testing tools in market will help you make decision to tune your current testing approach as per evolving scenarios. Now, all attendee lines have been on mute to avoid any background noises and distractions. Would love to hear your opinion, questions, post this session. And please, whenever you have any question, type your questions on the question box on your right navigation pane. The session is being recorded, and the link will be shared with all the participants post this webinar. Now, coming on to the agenda, we will discuss regarding, the compelling business factors that makes test automation for EBS a need rather than luxury. Also, moving forward, we'll discuss about what's the current maturity level of EBS test automation initiative across enterprises. Moving forward, we will get into some insight into what it takes to build winning strategy for test automation. Also, we'll try to do some comparison between tools and what factors to consider while choosing automation tool and a comparison. We'll give a small walkthrough regarding our test automation tool called UpKey. Post this, we will get on to the question and answer sessions. Now, getting on to the speakers, we are delighted to have Mr. Pankaj Goel, who is the Chief Product Officer at SSTS Inc., which is a Bay Area startup building smarter testing tools for a connected world. Pankaj, started his career at Mercury Interactive, and post that he was with Oracle, Adobe, where he spearheaded some of their largest enterprise tests. Hi, Pankaj. Welcome to have you here.
Hey, folks. Thank you very much for having me here. It's a pleasure.
Great. Today we have a unique situation because we have two speakers with the same name, Pankaj. So we will speak their full names to minimize any confusion. So we also have Mr. Pankaj Ratra, who is the Director of Path and Tech. Pankaj, has been industry veteran and has worked in several geographies and different products, domains, and worked closely with CIO and C-level executives. Hi, Pankaj. Delighted to have you here.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Delighted to be here. Look forward to a great session today.
Great. Next slide, please. So, we also have Mr. Vinay Gupta, who is the VP at Path and Tech, who would be moderating this webinar. So, welcome, Vinay. Over to you.
Hey, thanks, Chandra. Hey, hi, everybody. So I would like to now start this webinar by stressing why test automation is evolving. And I'm sure, there are already few heads nodding in the audience that's what the situation is. But for some of the folks, you are still sitting on the fence and not decided about using test automation in 2018. But let's hear it from Pankaj Ratra on why it is absolutely critical. And Pankaj, to open up this session, I would want to ask a question. What are those key driving factors organizations are having for automating their Oracle apps testing? So over to you, Pankaj. Thank you.
Yeah, Vinay, I think that's a very important and pertinent question that you ask here. And having been in the industry for close to about 2.5 decades and having been part of this Oracle e-business suite journey, see it evolve over the past 2 decades. The first thing that comes to me is I would say patches. Now, come to think of it, patches have been an integral part of the product, right since its inception. The nature of patches, though, have changed over a period of time. If you really look at it, in early days, the patches were more about bug fixes, enhancement in functionality to meet various business requirements. However, if you really look at it, in the last couple of years, if we trace back and look at the patch history, and we look at the whole the patch cycle and their releases, they are more about controls, security threats. Now, thus, actually, what happens is there is a need for an enterprise to implement these patches more frequently and in a shorter span of time than they would need to do them in the past. So I think those are some of the key factors which are, that's one of the key factors which is driving. And if you really look at it, there are enough data points to support that. In 70% of the times, in a patch or an upgrade, the release almost 30 to 50 man-months of effort goes into testing. I mean, that's a huge number. And a lot of enterprises delay, which is again, a data point to say 38% of them delay patching because of lack of testing, bandwidth in terms of resources, and available time at hand. Now, I think that's one of the first thing that comes to my mind. Moving on, I think in an enterprise, the most pertinent reality in that sense is, as much as we have a COTS application like Oracle EBS, there is a need for to enhance it, to customize it, and many a times to even build bolt-on systems to meet specific business needs. These are basically to meet business users' expectation and and requirements that they have. But then increasingly, when the business wants a change, they want it fast. I mean, and that has led to a lot of organizations embracing to agile or DevOps methodologies to to deliver these changes. And what has that meant? That there are more frequent release cycles now. Now, if you had release cycles which are running into a couple of months, they have gotten shortened to weeks, and now the users are expecting those releases to happen in a matter of days. Now, that yet again becomes a huge challenge for the IT organization to, IT managers feel that there isn't, 80% of the IT managers feel that there isn't sufficient coverage to achieve within that kind of release cycle, in that sense, release time available at hand. Now, the third and the most, I would say, it's obviously not the last, but I think the third most important element that comes to my mind is, as much as enterprises have embraced Oracle EBS, but the other important thing that continues to happen is that organizations continue to embrace best of the breed COTS applications for specific function areas, which means that an end-to-end business process may cut across two or more such applications. Just to take an example over here, you could have a CRM system running on a COTS application which is on the cloud. Let's take maybe Salesforce, and you have the Oracle EBS. Now, there is an opportunity, a business opportunity that you close in the Salesforce system. There is, from an order management perspective, the information needs to flow into EBS, and that's how the whole process will look like. So from an end-to-end perspective, there's a definite handicap that organizations feel in terms of testing the end-to-end business process when it's cutting across such business systems. Now, again, another data point from that perspective: 30% of the implementations in EBS implementations integrate with 2 or more upstream or downstream applications. So I think those are the 3 definitive points that come to my mind.
Okay. Hey, thanks, Pankaj. Thanks for your insight. So, as we hear Pankaj Ratra saying that speed in applying patches, upgrades, and end-to-end business process is driving the need for test automation and innovation around it. So I would want to rope in Pankaj Goel. You have worked on a lot of large-scale automation programs. Would you like to share your inputs here?
Sure, Vinay. I think Pankaj Ratra has summed it beautifully, but I loved the representation that he mentioned over here, right? Saying the need to move from reactive to proactive when it comes to patches. And, this is exactly what we have seen so far. So, talk about a year back, the philosophy was ain't broke, won't fix. Right? So it's more like if there is nothing wrong, why to apply a patch, which in part was being driven by the fact that there was not enough bandwidth available. The key users' time to have everyone on the same board to coordinate such a big program. But what's happening now is a lot of initiatives are driving the CIOs to say, hey, no, we need, if there's a patch, we need a defined release timeline that has to be defined in the beginning of the year. And let's make sure that everyone work together to achieve it. So this is a big change that we see happening, which obviously is putting a lot of pressure on the way testing team, they conduct this entire business of validating the patch. So yeah, I mean, that's one big change which is driving it.
Okay, I think that's really interesting to know. So audience, we will have a very quick poll now. Just will take about a minute of that. I'm going to launch that poll and would request you, to participate in that. I hope you are able to see the poll now.
While the attendees poll, the second question is interesting, right? Innovation faster and push out more customization. I've seen a lot of heartaches and hard ones around it. Vinay and Pankaj.
Yes, Pankaj, I do agree.
Yeah, the business always needs it faster, which is as of yesterday.
As of yesterday, standard term, Pankaj, standard term. Agreed.
Yeah.
So I would request all to complete the polling. We're just wrapping it up. Okay, we have closed the poll, and almost everybody has participated, a very high number, and it's a surprising and interesting, I will say, result. Close to 50% of you have asked that speeding up patches and upgrades is critical for business, and though innovation is coming up at number 2, close to 27%, but it's pretty, I think, evenly distributed with end-to-end business process assurance to delivery. So yeah, very interesting. I think it goes long way to understand how industry look at it. So thank you all. Thank you all to manage this poll. Now we will move to the next part of this session, and we'll bring in Pankaj Goel. And Pankaj Goel, I would want to start this. The next piece is looking at organizations driving factors for test automation. Where do you see test automation is heading? Is it already mature, or there are some trends which one can see which can disrupt current situation in test management cycle. So, Pankaj, go on.
Sure, Vinay. So, Vinay, what we generally do is when we work with organization, we work with a lot of VPs and the CIOs to, help them implement the automation program. And what we use is a reference model. So, I have represented a small pyramid. It's part of a much bigger model, but just for the representation purpose, we see all the organizations, all the enterprises who have been, who have been implementing test automation in EBS space. We can categorize them into four broad categories, if I can say. So I'll use this to maybe answer your question. Now, if you look at the first one, the operational, right? Can you just have the next animation come in, Vinay? Yeah, so the operation is the base of this pyramid, which means that if you are an enterprise looking to implement test automation, just case, you would broadly fall into this operational category. And over here, the focus of the enterprise is to initiate test automation practice within the company. The focus is on choosing the right tool, making sure that the right skills exist in the organization, the processes are all set up, the culture is all there. And this category, operational category, as such, has further subdivisions, but I'm not including it here as it would take the time way out of bound. But yeah, that's the key point. And if you look at it, close to 60% or I would say between 60 and 70% of organizations, they fall in this bracket. The next level of maturity is the test automation aligned to the business, or what we call business assurance. Right? That's where the enterprises who have experimented with the automation, they have found the right formula, made it more repeatable. They start looking at implementing more KPIs around test automation. Hey, what's the repeatability? What's the assurance that comes with automation? Any false positives, any false negatives? And what's the coverage? That's the biggest point. What's the coverage we are achieving with this business? That's the second level of maturity that we see organization. And the numbers, typically between the business assurance and the next one, the numbers are close to 20 to 30%. So about 20-22% of the organizations fall in this business assurance category. The third one and the one on the top of it, they, as organizations mature, typically around 2 to 3 year time frame, they move to a space where they say, hey, I think we have enough metrics with us now. Now let's look at optimizing. Let's look at and see, do we need to run all the test cases with each release? Or is there a way we can say, we can do a kind of impact analysis and say, no, I want to run only a specific set of test cases, or I want to run based on certain failures in production. I want to run a specific set of test data and then run my test cases. That's really the third level of maturity. And finally, the predictive, the top of the pyramid. This is interesting. Since last 1 year, we are seeing a trend where the CIOs are, talking to us. They are saying, guys, test automation has to evolve. And in fact, it's the same discussion I have had with Pankaj Ratra many a times. Test automation has to move beyond just about being regression testing or business assurance. It has to give me predictive insight into my business. So what's happening over here is a lot of AI is being applied. Organizations have tons of data. It's a treasure trove. So can we look into all those data from production, from your own testing teams which are doing testing, and can we put some analytics on top of it to make my automation self-configuring? Tomorrow, if I make a change into one of the business process, can my automation adapt to it, right? Without my business user needing to come and change the scripts. A lot of use cases like that. And we have seen this thing happening now. Close to 2 to 5% of organizations, they actually fall in this range where they're looking to move to the next level of test automation. So broadly, these are the 4 maturity trends. Now, the question is, what is pushing the organizations to move from one maturity level to another? And again, I see 3 broad trends here. And they are related to the same thing, which we like to call it digital transformation. So what's happening over here, Vinay, is that the CIOs they are not afraid to experiment and bring a lot of smaller applications IoT enabled processes into their back office operations. For example, if a small application can come and make my warehouse management more agile, why not? Even though I have a centralized EBS system. And what obviously is needed is a lot of interfaces with your Oracle EBS implementation. So EBS needs to interface with that specific application. We are already seeing the trend of Salesforce, which Pankaj Ratra took as an example in CRM, coming in and making things more agile. So this trend is increasing a lot of touch points that Oracle EBS has in terms of testing. More interfaces means more things to test, right? One change can potentially break the whole downstream or some of the upstream applications. So this is driving the CIOs to move beyond their current maturity in terms of test automation. And trust me, that's the only way to move. It's becoming a case of survival rather than a luxury here. Along with this, there is I'm sorry, just saying, along with this, there's a move to Fusion Cloud Apps and the mobile, which becomes a part of the overall digital journey.
Okay. So, I do hear you and do understand, but if I put myself in the shoes of, audiences and CIOs, it sounds interesting on the slide, but do you really see it getting in practice? And if yes, what is the timeline you see that this pyramid expands on the top, and or even tipping for reversal? I mean, what is your intake on
that? Yeah, that's an interesting question, Vinay. If you would have asked this question about a year back, Vinay, or year and a half, I would have said that this predictive is more about it's a fancy stuff. It's more about what I would speak in conferences to establish myself as thought leader. But the trend over last 1 year, it has really forced organizations to think out of the box. The CIOs are taking any means possible to bring agility into the system. So realistically speaking, I see this change already started happening. And my gut feeling is, though there is no hard data available, by 2020, we'll see about 20 to 25% organizations into this top bracket, accelerate and predictive level of maturity. But the jury is still out there. Let's see how it goes.
Okay, thank you. So Pankaj Ratra, you have heard, Pankaj Goel talking about all of this in terms of current state and trends. You work with, several CFOs, CEOs, CMOs, and across geographies, across industries. How do you see mobile and digitization impacting change in testing scenarios? Pankaj?
Sorry, I was muted. So yeah, interestingly, I kind of was listening to what Pankaj Goel just said, and look, I think in the last 2 years, if you really look at it, it's the business functions which have started to take the lead in adoption of a lot of digital initiatives. Okay, and increasingly, if you really look at it, enterprises are extending enterprise applications or embracing applications by virtue of which they are available on more and more available on various forms of digital platforms, whether it's mobile, handheld devices, field force, there's a whole lot happening out there. And like Pankaj said, I would echo the same sentiment to say that I'm seeing a lot of CIOs taking the initiative, or if they were called as a risk maybe a year and a half back, I think they're ready to take that risk to go out and take initiatives in that sense. Now, when they do that, it's extending, let's say, applications on the mobile devices, and there is a whole lot of complexity that gets added in terms of making those things seamlessly available. The factors of various real estate aspect in terms of what is the real estate available on the device, the form factor, the operating system. Yeah, I mean, as much as you know, Apple may be a standardized platform, but you always can't use the same or make it available on only on just one OS platform. Now, as much as from a development perspective, there are enough and more tools which do promise build once and deploy many, which means you build it once and then you can deploy it on a variety of operating systems and platforms and what have you. But in reality, the need for testing multiplies. I mean, you got to test um, these extensions that you built on various kinds of devices, varied versions of operating systems, and IT organizations are finding it difficult to keep up with it. I mean, I'm sure we have a lot of people in the audience today who go through that challenge of making the application one available and ensuring that it seamlessly works with every version upgrade that a operating system vendor does, or you know a new device provider comes in. I mean, these are real challenges.
Hey, thanks, Pankaj Ratra. Thanks, Pankaj Goel. So moving on to the next part of this session, we will go to the defining the winning automation strategy. And Pankaj Goel, on this, I think we all, including in your audience, have seen in their life one or more time automation projects failing, and automation appears to be a double-edged sword. Would you like to share your thoughts on this?
Absolutely, Vinay. I mean, you're right. You use a good terminology. It's a double-edged sword, and I'm sure we all of us here have had our fair share of success and obviously failures with automation. And there is no set formula or there is no set strategy that I can say is going to make you a successful automation implementation. But there are three key factors to keep in mind here, Vinay, and I can rush through it. There's nothing new that I'm going to tell over here, but it's more about the learnings that I've had with the 80 plus automation implementations over the last 3 or 4 years. The one thing to be very sure about is the right need, which means that, hey, you need to understand why you are implementing test automation. Is it your Oracle update, the patches, the releases? Is that going to be a primary driving need for test automation? Or something like, hey, I'm going to make a move to Fusion Apps in the next couple of months, and it's going to be a year-long program, and I need test automation to support it. Now, these two, the needs around these two can be similar as well, but if you look at from the tool perspective, they are very, very different, right? So defining your need properly in a medium term, 2 to 3 years, would actually help you, come out with a strategy. And once you have defined that need, a good place to start would be choosing a right tool or a right solution. Talk about who is going to work on this automation program. Are the guys who have coding experience, or the folks who are more driving the business? And companies take both the strategy. What ecosystem IT footprint do I have? Is it only the Oracle EBS, or would I have to test with Salesforce as well? In that case, I would have to choose a tool which works with both, not only the Oracle EBS. So a very, very critical point, a make or break. And then finally, it's about the team. I mean, for all said and done, I've seen great teams work with crappy tools and making it a success. So very, very important. Couple of decisions here. Whether you train your internal team, you hire some of the experts from outside, how you build your culture, automation culture within the enterprise. It's very, very important. And one of the suggestion from my side here, and I would like to give a suggestion here, is most of the successful automation projects I have worked with, they start with a centralized team, a centralized team which is dedicated for test automation, but eventually move out to a more decentralized structure, which means that after a period of 6 months or 1 year, when the program is set up, everyone participates in test automation. The business users, the managers, project managers, everyone has to participate in a test automation initiative, and your tool and your platform has to support it. So combination of these three, Vinay, would actually help you, make a good winning strategy. Now, I talked about tool here, so maybe quick couple of minutes I'll spend on tool comparison. And a disclaimer here, guys. This by no means is exhaustive. I mean, we have more than 30 parameters based on which we analyze different tools and recommend as part of our consulting practice here. But there are 5 key factors I have talked about: support for Oracle EBS, support beyond Oracle, because it's all about integrations and the end-to-end IT ecosystem. Codeless scripting. In case you want to decide that your business users have to participate in automation, this becomes a very, very important factor, right? And the very interesting questions that we are being asked these days, and that's why we have included it as a factor, is the automation suite or automation tool being cloud ready, or the Oracle Cloud Apps ready, which means that if tomorrow you want to move from your on-premise EBS implementation to Fusion apps, can the same script work seamlessly, or at least a part of the same scripts work? So not only the tool has to support the Fusion interface, web interface, but you also have to make sure that whatever investment you do today doesn't go down the drain. And the last part is the accelerator. Are there some pre-built components that come with your tool or the solution that can help you accelerate your overall automation initiative? And we have picked up 5 tools/platforms. We have picked up Oats, the Micro Focus UFT, which was previously HP UFT, Renorex. These are more the tools that work. Panaya, the leaders, I would say, undisputed leader in the accelerator and the platform space. And obviously, UpKey, being our product, I wanted to give a kind of head-to-head comparison over here. So, now, Vinay, you can go through all these animations at once. I'll maybe quickly explain. So, not enough time to go through each and every detail over here, but there are specific strengths and focus of each of these tools. Oats, if you look at it, is the only one that give you an integrated performance testing suite. Now, if your concern is that with every release, you want to do functional and performance exactly at the same time, and performance is that big an initiative, it's a good tool. But apart from that, Oats has pretty much lacked in a lot of innovations over the year. UFT, till about year and a half back, was undisputed leader and champion when it came to the Oracle EBS, and it was tool of the choice. But some of the developments over the last year and a half, more in terms of the organization and structure, we don't see innovation coming out clearly. So while it's a great tool, supports record and playback, it has a sort of codeless scripting available. It lacks in terms of pre-built accelerator, which means that it doesn't come with any of the Oracle ready artifacts or Salesforce ready artifacts that can help you cut down that initial couple of months and get started with automation right away. And almost the same case with Renorex. The fourth one, Panaya, is a very, very interesting technology. It was acquired by Infosys a couple of years back. Panaya is very, very strong on this accelerator space, and I would say one of the best platform out there. Though we are competing, but Panaya is one of the best platform when it comes to accelerator. So, if you want to, go more in terms of your business view of test automation, for example, one specific feature that stands out is impact analysis. You want to say if there is a change, how does it impact my end-to-end IT ecosystem? I would say as of today, Panaya is the platform to go to. But having said that, there are certain weaknesses, which means that it's always good to have that business view when it comes to doing those actual changes. There are sort of things which are left wanted in Panaya. So they don't have a forms recorder for Oracle specifically. They have something for SAP, but not for Oracle EBS. Obviously performance is not there. Support beyond Oracle is not too great. I mean, if you want to automate a desktop-based legacy application which integrates with your EBS, you cannot do that with Panaya as of today. And you have to integrate some third-party tools, which in itself become an automation project. And obviously UpKey, we designed UpKey to be the tool of choice for the business users, the folks who actually drive the testing. So UpKey has the features which are designed for them specifically. UpKey it supports a lot of technologies beyond Oracle. You can automate your desktop applications, your web applications, your Salesforce. It comes with a lot of pre-built accelerators. Already we have right now 4 or 5 accelerators. Only thing we do not have as of now is SAP. One important thing which I think as of today only Panaya and UpKey has is the cloud ready or the cloud apps ready, which means that we are in a stage where in next quarter, at least at UpKey perspective, we can say whatever script you create for your on-premise EBS solution, as long as your business process remains same in cloud, you can use the same one over there. So so that's a high-level snapshot, folks. I have to rush through this slide. Otherwise this topic itself takes 1 hour. Any questions? Would be happy to answer towards the end.
Hey, thanks, Pankaj. Let's take, it has been very, very informative session till now. Let's take it for a quick demo, and I will pass on control to you, and let me know if you need to
Sure thing.
some more thing. Yeah. Okay, I think you should have control now.
Yeah. All right. So you guys see the window?
Yes, Pankaj, I can see.
Okay, so I'll come to the slide part later, Vinay. I think I'm improvising a bit over here because of lack of time. But folks, this is the UpKey interface that you see over here. Now, UpKey is a kind of 100% web interface. It comes in 2 editions. We have our own hosted UpKey on AWS, or if you want something on-premise, the same thing can actually exist within your own premise as well. Now, UpKey was designed to be a test automation platform rather than just a tool, which means that it contains all your centralized testing data and top of it. So, for example, you see here is an app on top of UpKey platform, and this interface, we call it classical UpKey, is essentially for the automation users who want to come and who want to do some editing in these components. For the folks who are more business oriented, we have another interface that's kind of another application on top of it, which we call the business process driven interface. Now, this interface is for the part of your team who have the components, the BAU team, and who want to run their test typically, who want to combine different components together and make their own business processes. So they can come over here in business process. It comes with a lot of predefined business processes for Oracle EBS. So they can either pick up any of these business process, or they can make their own business process by dragging and dropping component, right? And everything is given in form of a nice flowchart view to give you an idea of what's happening over here. You can define your own data sets over here, if you can. So let me just quickly show you what kind of data sets you can define. So once you come to a test case, you can pick up a business process. For example, I'm talking about business process here, which is more pick to stock process. And once you have the process defined, you can give your own set of data. So you can either give the static data for this business process, which would run with one set of data to test, or you have something called a kind of local data repository over here. Here you can give a set of data which iterates through this entire business process, and you want to create 10 different orders for that matter, right? So give your data over here and it will iterate through it. You can export this to external Excel sheet and then import it back if there is users, or you can either import your data directly from your database, scrub it and do stuff around it. So there are a lot of functionalities like this, around this entire tool, which makes it really easy for business users. We have our own inbuilt recorder for most of the technologies. So let me go to the UpKey classical interface. And folks, don't worry, we are going to discuss, a lot of functionalities in the next webinar. The idea was just to give you a high-level glimpse of the platform here, without taking too much into it. So, as you can see here, if your organization has already implemented DevOps and BDD, we support Gherkin out of the box, where users can come and they can write their test in a plain English-like language, right? So we are one of the only web-based platform that supports Gherkin out. So that's one. Reusability, which means you can create your own function library, and once you have created your function library, you can components on it. Now, if you look at it, everything in UpKey is a keyword, and we come bundled with more than 800 pre-built keywords, which you can drag and drop over here, or just add and create your own test. And from what we have seen, close to 90% of your functionality, in fact, more than 95% of your test cases can be built without creating any third-party keyword or components, which by the way we have flexibility to do. So everything becomes in form of keywords. If you want to record your scripts, we have these 4 recorders out of the box: web, mobile, desktop, and Oracle. And between web, we have further subdivision as Salesforce, as Workday, as ServiceNow, because they're specialized web applications. So, I would say it's a pretty exhaustive platform, has its own advantages, and we are working almost on a daily basis to make it more usable for business users and for developers alike to, work on their test automation. If there are any specific features you would like to see, feel free to put that in the question box. If you have time now, I can take you through it. Or the next webinar, we are going to have much more detailed discussion. Over to you, Vinay.
Pankaj, can you just showcase about where the solution or the tools are working and some of those cool things?
Sure. So you mean the client lists and all that stuff?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect. I generally hate in-your-face marketing, Vinay, but since you asked, I'll take you through this slide. We are working with some of the biggest names out there. In fact, 10 of the Fortune 100 customers are already our esteemed clients. We're working with Pfizer's, the Lilly's, the Lendlease of the world, and they're across geography. We have customers in US, we have customers in Australia, and we have regularly find mentioned with Gartner. So Gartner has included us in multiple reports, and the last report we got included in was the mobile testing outlook report, where UpKey along with another product of ours, Peakowdy, were both featured and mentioned. So a lot of big enterprises are using it. They're helping us evolve. They're telling us their needs, and we are building these needs on a kind of on a monthly release cycle. We release every month and make sure that the needs of the customers are met.
Thank you, Pankaj. So I think we have pretty much done the presentation and the demo part of it. And we have got quite a few questions, but looking at the time, I will try to take at least a couple of them, if not more. So I'm putting out the first question we have got is, in your opinion, how to make a good business case for test automation in our organization? So, Pankaj Goel, if you want to take that.
Oh, business case for test automation. There are many factors to consider, but I would say advice from my side, when you are building a business case for your management guys, don't just look at the testing time automation is going to save or the testing hours. It's important to visualize this ROI more in terms of the business agility it can give. So start asking question about, hey, if I am able to push the release faster because of automation, what's the business advantage is going to give to the business? And more often than not, you will find that, the kind of returns that you get are going to be huge, right? Because let's say if instead of 4 or 5 releases in a year, you can push out 8, which means your business can bring the features faster to the market, which means you gain a significant competitive advantage. So many factors to consider. Connect with me offline, and we can help you give a template. Look beyond just saving the testing time or cutting down on the manual testing time. Look what business can gain out of this test automation.
I think we can squeeze in one more question, Pankaj, if you can take it. How much time does it take to break even, and minimum time after which we can realize positive ROI in automation?
Oh man, kind of a tricky one. There is no set number that we can say, hey, spend for 6 months and then you can start seeing the results and stuff like that, because it depends a lot on what modules you want to automate, what kind of business processes, what kind of integrations you have in mind. Okay, you put me at a spot here, but if I give you a kind of high level number, based on my experience, we have seen typically the break even is 6 to 9 months is what you should expect at least for the break even, and close to around 9 months you would start seeing the positive cycle going on. Very fair, I would say. If you look at the overall long term benefits, the positive spiral that goes after 9 months, it very quickly outweighs the kind of investments you have done in the first 9 months or 10 months. So the rule of the thumb, typically 8 to 9 months is what we should look at in terms of investment in test automation.
Okay, I think we have just last minute, and I would thank you to all the panelists, and then pass on to Chandra for some of the summary. Over to you, Chandra.
Thank you, Vinay. It was a really interactive webinar. With this, we are wrapping up this webinar. So if any further questions are there, please write me up. My email ID is already with you, chandra.shekhar@pathinfotech.com. Hope this was a useful session and helps you better manage and support EBS applications. If you have any, we will share the recording of this webinar to all of you very soon. We will also share you soon details of our second webinar of the series, which is Environment Cloning to Test Automation, the ABC of Oracle EBS Business Assurance. Also, request all of you to fill the survey that will show up on your screen after we end this session. Once again, thanks to all of you for joining in. Have a great day.
Hi Chandra, there's a question from one attendee, and he's asking like, how does UpKey work with custom Oracle apps (ADF) with traditional Oracle products? So he just write it in a.
Pankaj Goel, if you can.
Yeah, sure. So UpKey is 100% compatible with ADF or the applications built on top of ADF. The way UpKey's architecture is designed, the core engine works with many technologies. So we work with Oracle Forms, which, by the way, is very tricky piece of technology to work with in terms of test automation, and that's why you won't see many tools supporting that. We work with applications built with ADF, both the web interface and the Java interface out of it, and we support it out of the box. We have predefined plugins for those specific technologies. And we are now seeing a lot of people developing applications on ADF, which are more consumed by mobile. With our mobility plugin, we support that out of the box as well.
Okay. One more question, if you can quickly answer that. They are saying we are using HP ALM, but not to full potential. So can UpKey be used along with that?
Oh yes. It's a kind of question that we actually get many a times. UpKey as a tool or UpKey as a platform is integratable with almost any ALM out there. We have day zero integrations ready with HP ALM, or if you have Jira, or if you have any other ALM, your homegrown ALMs out there, because of the kind of cool APIs that we use. And integrations with HP ALM are pretty unique in terms of the way you want to integrate it with your test artifacts in your test lab or your test plan, and the kind of the snapshots that you want to give back to the HP ALM as part of your audit compliance. So if you have any questions, we would love to show you this integration at any point of time. But the answer is yes, you can integrate with your ALM directly.
Okay, great to hear that. So I believe we are done for now. And once again, I would like to thank all of you for joining in and giving your precious time to us. Have a great day. We are ending this webinar now. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. And Pankaj, it was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.